Today we're talking about why a true INFJ always has a safety net. And that safety net is better known as the INFJ door slam. See, I'm so glad I have this as a safety net, that I've learned it, I've used it many times, but I'm also extremely thankful that I haven't used it in years, because I've created a life for myself that is more and more in alignment with the person that I want to be, so I don't have to use it. Nonetheless, I'm so thankful for all the situations that allowed me to do the INFJ door slam, that showed me that I actually needed to change my mindset, that I was living in a system and I was living a reality that was only in my mind and that didn't make sense. What is an INFJ door slam? An INFJ door slam is an INFJ being so fed up with a situation, being so fed up with a person who continuously abuses them, who continuously uses them for whatever they want, and for the INFJ always thinking, okay, they're going to get it. They're going to understand how much I'm doing for them. They're going to understand that I'm sacrificing so much for them. And they're definitely going to understand that I just have the best intentions. But we all experience that this is just not the case. And it's not because all people are evil. It's because if people are in pain, they're not able to see the bigger picture. They're not able to see that you had all of these good intentions. And let's not forget that if we've gotten ourselves to a place where we actually need to use the INFJ door slam, which is our safety net, it has saved me from so much on a psychological level, it's not even funny. But if we have gotten ourselves to that place, then it's because our boundaries aren't intact. And if our boundaries aren't intact, then that means that we have been doing these things out of codependency. Yes, also because we wanted to help, also because we understood the other person very well, but we also did it because we needed that other person to need us. We were more concerned with that person's problems than they were concerned with them themselves. And we are always kind of like doing this because looking at our own life, saying, I'm not responsible for that person. I don't have the power to do this anyway. I have to focus on myself. This process is very, very painful. But the more often you actually put yourself in a situation where you do use your safety net, the more you recognize, okay, I need to adapt myself. I need to actually get to a place where I don't need to use this so often. I have to find a healthy outlet. I have to stop having the same kind of relationships over and over again. And I have to focus on myself, although that means it's going to hurt like nothing else, because that's really the painful stuff. But remember, just because something is hard doesn't mean that we can do it. We can do hard things. And specifically when it comes to mindset stuff, we are INFJs after all. This is our forte. This is our strength. We can survive a lot of things, and let's use our power to thrive. The INFJ door slam can be very painful for other people, and it shows them all the strength and all the knowledge you had all along. Many people believe the INFJ door slam just means, okay, that person has treated me so wrong, I'm just going to cut off any kind of communication with them. I'm just not going to care. I'm going to close that door and I'm going to move away. Like mentally, that's, the INFJ door slam. You slam it into somebody's face metaphorically. But it's so much more than this, because in order for you to be able to close that door on somebody, you change the way you look at that person. From one day, they were that angel, they were the person who was all good, and they were such a great friend, and they were just suffering, and you wanted to help them. And you change your narrative to, okay, that person actually just doesn't care about anybody else, and if they hurt me, they would also hurt somebody else, and I'm not going to take that. I actually going to have a different kind of view of that person. And then you move on, you create a new reality for yourself, and that includes that you actually put to the forefront all the things that you knew about that person, their biggest insecurity, the fact that if you would act as strongly, they would feel bad about themselves. Think about it. Most of the time when we're getting in a situation where an INFJ door slam is necessary, it's because we've made ourselves small to some extent. We didn't want to show our strength in certain areas because that would make the other person be confronted with their biggest insecurities, with their fears, with what they haven't been able to do. Remember, we as INFJs are very often mirrors. And that's what we're so scared of, because the more you actually are yourself, the more you are being that mirror, the less people are going to be able to handle you. There's this saying I see on Instagram all the time, which is, if I'm too much for you, go find less. But we have to get to a place where we feel comfortable enough to say that, because we don't want to be alone. We are humans after all. We need human interaction. We need some connection. And if all our life we've been conditioned and we condition ourselves on top of it that there's something wrong with us, we'll always adapt ourselves. But the more often you're forced forced into these situations where you have to pull your safety net, you learn from this because it doesn't feel good. I'm so happy again that I was able to do this. I would have never stepped out so much out of my comfort zone if I didn't have that safety net. And I've seen this with INFJs all the time. We talk about this in boot camp very often, that, we create new lives. We create INFJ epic lives there. And so it is necessary to talk about what kind of traumatic things have happened. How are we going to work through this so this becomes a lesson learned that becomes a building block towards the person you want to be. The 5 pillars are all based on that every single time you challenge yourself to grow in each of the 5 pillars, you're confronting yourself with things that have gone on in the past. You actually have to confront your old identity and see, what am I willing to change about this? How am I going to get to a place where maybe this kind of safety net is somewhere in the back of my mind, but I'll never ever need to use it again because I have learned how to create those boundaries, because I don't want to be in that position again where I have to use it, and on top of that cause so much pain to the other person, cause so much pain to myself. Because if you've been investing in a relationship or in a certain scenario and you then have to adapt, yes, it's possible, but it's a heartbreaking experience, and we don't want to experience this all the time. And that's the great thing about the safety net, that okay, I'm going out of my way to find out something about myself. I'm going to find out, is the way I see reality actually fact? Can I create a life based on this? Or am I lying to myself on some kind of level that I don't understand? Remember, our internal logical system, our third function, TI, is not something that is solid all the way. We learn that there are certain things that we might overestimate, certain belief systems that we think we are in control of, when in fact we actually can get bulldozed by somebody else's belief system because they're just narcissists, for example, and just hammered into your mind over and over again. We can absorb so much from other people, and if we're not careful, if we don't create our identity in such a way that allows us to use our gifts, to be authentic, but at the same time making sure that we don't get into a situation where we lose ourselves, we're going to get bulldozed by people who put all of their emotions out there because they're not able to work through them by themselves. They need to put it on you. And we as INFJs are the perfect match to this. An unhealthy INFJ is the perfect match to our narcissist, somebody who's doing gaslighting all the time. I've experienced this more than once. And although this experience has been extremely painful, it has also been the groundstone of my life. It's the thing I'm probably most happy about that has happened, because it showed me a truth of who I want to be, what I'm willing to sacrifice in order to be myself, and how I'm going to choose myself. I'm not going to dim my light for anybody, because it's always going to cause pain, not just to me, but for others, if I in any kind of way try to make myself small. Remember guys, if you haven't downloaded it yet, download the poster, get some ideas on how you can go those steps. This isn't something that has to be your everyday mission. You have to fight with tooth and nails. No, it's something that you can just set goals in, certain steps that you take in all 5 pillars, and you'll see incredible transformations in your life because you're challenging yourself to experience life in the INFJ epic life I'm always talking about. This isn't something that is only reserved for a couple of us. I've seen this personally with any kind of INFJ from all walks of life, with all kinds of education or where people come from or age. It doesn't matter. We all can benefit from this because there's always a way for us to grow more and more into the person we want to be, the person that is excited about every day, that person that says, yes, I am living that epic life. I am excited about life. I can't wait for the next thing in my life to happen. That's where we want to get to. And none of this would have been able if I didn't have my safety net. This safety net is the thing that all us INFJs have. This understanding of, if I go too far, if I try something that is out of the ordinary from a mindset point, I have a deep conversation with somebody, I try something that doesn't seem like the norm, we know that we always have some kind of backup. That backup isn't necessarily that oh, okay, then I'm just going to go and do something else. It is a psychological safety net. It's a psychological safety net of knowing that if I dare something, if I want to experience a person on a deeper level, I understand something about them and I hold this near and dear. I don't want to use this. This is a painful process, but because I've had the best intentions and I wanted all the best for the other person and they didn't reciprocate, they actually had no respect for what we have been trying to do. If we get into a situation, we know how to change the narrative. We know how to close that that door. We know how to create a new part of our identity that is based on the knowledge that we learned from that situation. Guys, you all have this gift. Be thankful for your safety net. Be thankful that you have that INFJ door slam. But also know we want to get to a place where we don't have to use it anymore, where we're getting better and better at finding ourselves, loving ourselves, really experiencing life the way we want. And you got this. You have everything that you need to make this happen. If you want to have a group that is keeping you accountable, that's making you make it happen even faster, then join the bootcamp. We're launching the next time in the end of October. You can sign up for the waiting list in the link in the description so you get access to the early bird prize. And guys, if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the last video where we talk about why the INFJ is a transformation warrior. That's life-changing information. Okay, talk to you next time.